The ultimate hump day. Oh,
That's
my
right.
God.
Yeah. Where
Oh,
Trump
my
can finally
God,
go
Hal.
hump himself.
It's almost here. 2 more sleeps. Oh, my God. We're so, like, did you see the Capitol just got evacuated this morning? I don't know if you're with me, Hal. Why are we not just doing, everything is virtual now because of the pandemic anyway. Just make this thing virtual. We are having enough of a nervous breakdown for 4 years, and now the insurrection at the Capitol. Just do the friggin' thing inside.
Right. Yeah. Like the DNC. Just do it. You know, the DNC was a huge hit. Lots of people watched it. It worked very, very well. You don't need, that part of
Let me make an analogy. Okay, Hal Sparks live on stage, whether it's Sexy Liberal or anywhere, orgasmic, amazing, nothing like it in person. But then what happened? Then COVID hit, and we had to do Sexy Liberal virtual. What did people say? Oh my God, Hal Sparks, even better. Holy crap.
Right.
Oh my God, the stuff he's doing with technology, and he's so amazing. And right? It's fine. It'll be fine virtually.
Do you see all that stuff behind Hal Sparks? He uses all of that for the show.
Yeah.
Yes.
The amount of
We're all adapting. So now we're adapting from COVID and an insurrection. And thank you, Hal, for your tough love on Twitter. You said JFK Jr. is dead. Q has been wrong about everything. There will be no martial law. Mike Pence is still VP for 3 days. Trump lost. Grow the F up. Thank you, Hal.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I've been, I've dove over the last year into the world of, the alt-right and QAnon, especially in kind of ginning up comedy for both our show for Sexy Liberal and for my daily stream. And right now, they're getting more dangerous and funnier at the same time. I don't know how that's possible. It's as if someone was like doing a dinner theater version of Inspector Clouseau, but with a live Uzi while high on bath salts. What they believe, and they're still convinced, by the way, they have moved the goalposts so many times that they believe Trump is going to be president starting in March.
March. And now all the insurrectionists and everybody, of course, as you know, is asking for unity. And I feel like the only thing that would bring us back together now is just, I don't know, like the dinosaurs came back. Don't you think? Like a T-Rex came back?
I've been saying this for years, of course, and we know that,
I'm not trying to get you to do T-Rex. I'm just saying.
It wouldn't fit. It's too small a box for that if I had a nickel for every time I've said that in life. But there are so many parts of this where it is abundantly clear that the people who are most outraged for Trump, most want to storm and show the America that they're not going to have their freedom stolen. All those folks flew there in private jets or were bussed there by the wife of a Supreme Court justice. Got a free hotel room, had Holiday Inn waffles coursing through their gullet while they stormed the Capitol. They none of it cost them anything. And now it will because, jail time. But, Don't
you feel like, speaking of Clarence Thomas's wife, don't you feel like maybe we could get Clarence Thomas off the Supreme Court and then Joe Biden can get in the DeLorean and go back in time and not only undo everything he did wrong, but make everything right again, karmically
speaking. He's kind of already in that process. Have you seen the list of things, including the Keystone Pipeline and other things that he's going to be kicking out the first day?
He's busy.
You tweeted on the first day, Biden will rescind the travel ban on several Muslim countries, rejoin the Paris Climate Accord, extend pandemic limits on evictions and student loan payments, order agencies to figure out how to reunite children separated from families at the border. And you said at this rate, he'll be able to begin prosecuting Trump for sedition by Friday.
Yeah, that's right. Just get that stuff out of the way. Just emergency, is that all signed? Cool. All right. Give me one scoop ice cream and let's do this.
I swear to God, I think it's Biden that I got in 2 weeks a negative COVID result. Mm-hmm. And knock on wood, it's really...
Literally just kick your immune system back into order.
I never had much taste, but taste and smell is the only thing that's been a little off. But I'm just saying, I think it's Joe Biden talking that has been my blood pressure medicine.
Sure, right.
Here he is.
Look, I hope we now know this is not a political issue. This is about saving lives. I know it's become a partisan issue, but what a stupid, stupid thing for it to happen. This is a patriotic act. We're asking you, we're in a war with this virus. And experts saying have shown that wearing a mask from now until April will save as many as 50,000 lives.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to do the 100-day masking challenge.
Right.
You know, he can require it in federal buildings on interstate travel. You know, otherwise, it's just what he said. Be a patriot, man. Wear a mask. 100 vaccinations in 100 days. Like, for the first time, Hal, I feel real hope. And by the way, you know, Chris and Travis and I didn't escape it. We didn't get out of this without getting COVID. But, you know, we're all like crawling to the finish line here. The vaccine is here, and Trump has effed that up as well. I mean, but I really feel like, oh my God, help is here. Right?
Yeah, I think we're all a little bit like the next 2 days, especially. Everybody's especially suspicious and paranoid about what Trump might want to or try to do. There's been all this crap on Fox News about him dropping a bunch of details from the Russia gate, blah, blah, blah. There's been stuff about what if he starts a war and tries to use military. Let me just tell you guys this. Can I just say this to everybody? Sure. None of that is going to happen. Trump is going to do you guys remember the final episode of The Apprentice before Trump left? Do you remember what happened?
No, I didn't watch it. Tell me.
No one does. No one does. There was no grand finale. It went out with a whimper. It dragged on far too long, and they were over it by the time he stopped doing it. There was nothing. And he promised something, don't get me wrong. And the same thing is true of his presidency. Like all this stuff, all the big, you know, the horror that we saw at the Capitol was other people doing this on Trump's behalf. This was his just setting something loose. He didn't coordinate something extraordinary. He's not some great leader. He just set a bunch of rats loose in a cafe and called himself Napoleon. That's what he's doing right now. And it's not going anywhere. It's not going to happen. I'm telling everybody. You guys need to know that anything he tried would fail, and he's not going to. He's already over it. He's already ready. Yeah. He wants to use Air Force One to go to Mar-a-Lago one last time, so he doesn't have to ask Biden to borrow the plane. So and he's got it.
You know, and I was really hoping for the Harrison. I was really hoping for the Harrison Ford get off my plane. I was hoping it was going to be a last-minute struggle, and Biden was going to be able to push him out of the plane. Okay, all right, no drama. Okay, fine.
No.
But yeah, I don't know if you know, Hal, but sexy liberal Lily Tomlin called in a comedy airstrike. Like, I am so ready for this boring. Joe Biden is so boring and incompetent already. Yeah, listen, Lily Tomlin knows urgency. Here's
Hi, Stephanie Miller, Joanne Worley calling you. Lily Tomlin just called me and said that you wanted a boring.
So, Hal, we are ready going forward. Joe Biden sketched out a plan for more aggressive federal action on COVID-19 vaccination. Thank you. Not just more assistance for states, but also direct distribution of shots through federally managed mass clinics. He did warn things are going to get worse before they get better. Truth be told, we're in for a dark winter. We need to turn frustration into motivation. He is so boring. It cured me. I think it cured me of COVID. Curious.
Quite frankly, it was shocking to see members of the Congress, while the Capitol was under siege by a deadly mob of thugs, refusing to wear a mask while they were in secure locations. I'm so proud of my congresswoman right here in the state of Delaware, Lisa Brunt Rochester, trying to hand out masks when people are lying on the floor, huddled up, and a Republican colleagues refusing to put them on. What the hell's the matter with them? It's time to grow up.
Yeah, she's way too nice, Hal. I would have been like, put on the effing mask, we get the F out of here, and go be with your mob that you incited. I'm sure you'll be safe. You don't deserve protection in here if you're not going to protect the rest of us. Right?
Yeah, well, again, this is they've dug in so far into this wearing a mask is a violation of my freedom thing that if they went out there into that, they would catch COVID from somebody in this. They know it's real. So they couldn't I'm going to go out there. I don't care. Well, they would end up catching it. And so they stayed in the room figuring everybody there's been tested. Everybody there's gotten a shot for the most part, even though that emergency clearly was true that they weren't. They felt like everybody here gets tested. We're in our own little safe bubble. The irony that they talk about New York elites and the idea that when that's exactly how they live. They live in these we're in a cocoon. I get tested at the White House all the time because I hang out with the president.
Yeah. How? I heard. Apparently Trump was horrified that the people were so low class. I'm sorry. Now a warning. Have you looked at any of your rallies? I mean, it's just like, the fact that they're doing this whole revolution for someone that would not let a one of them into his golf club. Right. Not a one of them.
The guy, the dinner that he prepared for every sports team that's come to the White House is all fast food. And by the way, not only because that's the only garbage he eats, so he thinks it's actual food. Not just a placeholder for food when you can't afford food, which is how I grew up with it. But the literally standing in front of these giant spreads of fish delight from McDonald's, acting as if like, when in reality we know what really happened. They didn't prepare for any of this. They sent someone out to buy fast food, make an accident look like it was on purpose. This is the evil Clouseau presidency. Yeah. Everything is a terrible mistake.
Yeah, and the question, Hal, of the hour is how long is it going to take us to un-F everything he has effed? Examples of the Trump administration failures keep piling up. Wall Street Journal report Friday says federal authorities delayed key decisions in approving state plans for many months, followed an earlier Washington Post piece detailing that states will not be getting extra doses this month as promised because a large stash the federal government supposedly been holding in reserve has already gone out the door. I'm going to guess Jared sold it. Mm-hmm. Here is Joe Biden yesterday.
Our plan is as clear as it is bold. Get more people vaccinated for free. Create more places for them to get vaccinated. Mobilize more medical teams to get the shots in people's arms. Increase supply and get it out the door as soon as possible. This will be one of the most challenging operational efforts ever undertaken by our country. But you have my word that we will manage the hell out of this operation. But as I said last night, we need funding from Congress to make this happen. And I'm optimistic. I'm convinced the American people are ready to spare no effort and no expense to get this done.
Yeah, and by the way, none of these mother effers get to rewrite their history. So Alex Azar, the Health and Human Services Secretary, he said Trump's actions and rhetoric have tarnished the administration's legacy. The legacy was already a pile of S. Right. He said in his resignation letter, unfortunately, the actions and rhetoric following the election, especially during this past week, threatened to tarnish these and other historic legacies of this administration.
There are none.
This is the legacy of this administration. And then he goes on to say in his letter, he characterizes the department's actions as quick and aggressive on coronavirus. While we mourn every lost life, our early aggressive comprehensive efforts saved hundreds of thousands or millions of American lives. You don't get to rewrite history. No. 400,000 of us are dead. Your response was disastrous. And to go, we just realized last Wednesday that Donald Trump is, this just happened. He's never been like this. It's like, give me a break.
Right. No, it all led up to this. I mean, you could spot this coming in 2015. That's why a lot of us were horrified that anybody even played footsie with the idea that, well, he's a businessman. It was we were reliving the whole, George W. Bush, he's like the guy you'd rather have a beer with. It was a new version of that same BS. And everybody was warning about, anybody would say what he said about immigrants and women over the course of his career and had a history of not renting apartments to black people with his dad because that's his business model, to faking being a billionaire, to writing Art of the Deal the year he lost more money in real estate than anyone in New York history. That was the same year he wrote that book.
And by the way, speaking of not renting apartments, so I love when, Congresswoman Cori Bush calls him a white supremacist, and sphincters snap shut, pearls are clutched. Oh, boo! You're like, he's been a white supremacist his whole life.
Right.
I mean,
well, orange, but yeah.
Yes, right.
He's been a mango supremacist. The irony is always the guys who are like, my race is inherently superior, are always the worst example of whatever race that would be. They are always that. It's not even close. There's no Dolph Lundgren moment where Trump looked like him and was like, what are you going to argue with this? I mean, I must break you. There was you're literally. I
love the pictures of him at the rally as Rambo, right? And I'm like, he is a big orange tub of goo. He looks nothing like Rambo. Okay.